So Jessica Berman does join us now the interim commissioner of the National Lacrosse League. Jessica, I know it's probably been a very busy time this last week or so now. I guess in terms of your role, what is different from what you were doing before as a deputy commissioner to now as the interim commissioner of the National Lacrosse League?
For better or worse, it's not all that different day to day. We're in the middle of our season, and so we're super focused on making the 21-22 season the best it can be. We're about a third of the way through our season, a lot of games left to play, and focused on launching our partnerships with ESPN and TSN, bringing on new non-endemic sponsors, focused on really reaching out beyond the lacrosse community to attract and retain new fans. So our heads are down. We're sort of marching on with the season, and not all that much has changed in the day-to-day.
With the news that came out, I think it shocked a lot of people. How surprised were you with the news of Nick stepping down from his role as commissioner?
Well, Nick, if you followed his career, he likes to, as he describes it, build mountains. So he's done that several times in his career, and he's been with the NLL for 6 years and really accomplished a lot. I think everyone would agree on behalf of the sport and the NLL in particular. And he just got to a point where he was ready to start to build his next mountain, and we've been having internal conversations with him about that for a little while. So definitely what didn't come as a surprise. I know from the outside looking in, it probably came as a surprise and was a bit of a shock, but it was in the works, I would say, for a little while. And he and the board really hired an outstanding executive team internally, way beyond me, to lead the league. And so, the league was prepared to move forward. And there's a lot of really great people at this league who make it what it is today. Obviously, Nick was a huge presence and a huge leader, and he hasn't gone anywhere. He's still advising and working with us, but the league is prepared to move forward.
Yeah, and I think that people at this point know that his contract was coming up at the same time too, and that's also the timing that played a part in it. I guess in terms of the future, we talk about the timing so much, and that's a part of that too, but in terms of the decisions being made now for like next year, that's also a part of this, I'd imagine, for the future of this league, not only for 21-22, but 22-23 as well, as you all look forward to.
Yeah, this is typically the time where we would begin planning for next season, both from a business and fiscal perspective, as well as the game, and beginning to think about and work through any changes or enhancements that we collectively decide to make. And so those preliminary steps would typically start in the March-April timeframe in any event. So although to the fan and to the outside world, we're in the middle of our season, and of course, we're expected to fly the plane as we build it. That's sort of how we describe it, because we're starting to plan for the future while we're still in season. But this would typically be around the time when that would begin. So it's a logical time to think about, transition and planning and what the future holds.
You obviously have the interim job now as commissioner of this league. How interested are you of being the next full-time commissioner of the National Lacrosse League?
Yeah, I definitely expressed my interest at the outset to be the commissioner. Conversations are ongoing with the board about what that would look like. And, I have no doubt that we'll figure out what the best steps are, what the best next steps are, both for the league and for me personally. So time will tell. But, as I said earlier, whether it's me or the other great people at the league, there's a lot of people who are part of this engine that helps the league to be what it is and will ultimately help it to achieve its potential. And I'm a firm and enthusiastic believer in the future of the NLL.
Why would you want to be the commissioner?
Well, I think the NLL has huge upside and a massive untapped opportunity that but the potential really could be unlocked with the right ingredients of investment and engagement from key partners. We definitely couldn't do it alone. So, I think there is an opportunity to really lean into this post-COVID world where I think fans are starved for entertainment and distraction. And we know from history that sports is really served as a captivator for helping people and communities to heal through tragedy and through pain. And we saw that following 9/11. We've seen that post wars. And there's no doubt that the NLL provides captivating entertainment for anyone who has watched it, both in person and on TV. It certainly has captivated me. I've been going to games most weekends this season, making my way around North America. It's super fun. There's no doubt about it. We actually just ran a statistic for a board meeting that we have tomorrow that almost a third, actually a little more than a third of our games have ended in a 1-goal differential, which is just remarkable. I mean, I sort of felt like anecdotally it's going to be, 10, 20%, but it was over 35% of our games. And, I just feel like every weekend it's like, oh my God, another 1-goal game. It went into overtime, or huge lead changes. So it's, the combination of the come for the party, stay for the game environment, which captivates millennials and Gen Zs, with the fact that it's outstanding lacrosse with the best athletes who are so unbelievably talented at what they do, and is the reason that we find ourselves now 1/3 of the way through the season with, I believe it's been 10 Sports Center top 10 appearances this year, because it's like unbelievable what they can do. I mean, even my kids who were introduced to the NLL through me and my role, all their friends are now like, watching, following, consuming the clips because it's captivating.
Yeah, I mean, we try to guess every week what's going to happen on the weekend, and we are always wrong. So it shows you just how good the league has been and how unpredictable it is. That's good for business.
It is good. It's great. And, ultimately people want to be entertained, and sports is a form of entertainment. So that was always one of the things that attracted me to the NLL, which is that, it's a sport that doesn't take itself too seriously, if that makes sense. So sort of get that people are coming because they want to be entertained. That seems like a pretty simple concept, but it isn't universally held across sports. So yes, we get it. Like, wins and losses matter. But at the end of the day, the thing that matters is that the consumer, or in this case, the fan, comes and has a good time. And I think that, that's really exemplified in the NLL.
So under Nick, obviously this league has gone to all different new heights. There's been expansion that has happened almost on a yearly basis. Obviously, 2 different television deals, including the one now that you talked about with ESPN and TSN, that has seemed to really been a success especially amongst the lacrosse community and people watching games and being exposed to the game. What's next in the vision for this league after we've hit what seems like it's so many different milestones over the last couple of years?
I mean, I think we have to finish out the deliverables of the 5 strategic priorities that Nick set when he joined in 2016. We got to drive viewership. Now that we have these great television contracts, people need to watch. We need to show and demonstrate to our media partners that we have an engaged and avid fan base who want to watch our games live. Super important. And this is the first year of a 3-year deal. So over delivering on those expectations is a key priority. We, as a league, had set a goal of getting to 16 teams by 2023. We're obviously at 15 with Vegas coming in next year. So we, based on our business plan, have another team to sell, and those conversations are really active right now. So we're finishing out that key priority. And then it's really just, and obviously COVID has had a huge impact on this, but getting people back in the arena the end of the day, this business at our stage of growth as a challenger property is really dependent on people attending games. And we got to get people back in the arenas. It's starting to happen, I will say. And as of this weekend, I believe it's the case. I have a couple of unread emails, but I think we have no more restrictions in place across the league, which is just massive opportunity for us for the first time. Again, as I was just preparing for our board meeting, so I actually have more data than I might otherwise. Of the games that we've had this season, which I believe was just about 60, more than 10 of them either had no fans or limited fans. So it's a lot. I mean, and those were in really important markets too. You're talking about most of our Canadian markets where we have really strong fan bases. So, I think this will be sort of the next stage of our return. Obviously, we came back in December after not playing for, I think it was 635 days. And now, this is like the 2.0 of our return. And with restrictions lifted, I think we'll be able to really hit our stride as we conclude the 21-22 season.
You mentioned expansion and getting to 16 teams, and there have been some talk that Nick was really high on, like getting to 30 in a very short amount of time. Where are you on that, getting beyond that 16 in the future?
Yeah, I think having lived it at the NHL, I think, the league is going to be exercising some discretion about how quickly we expand. It's not to say that any definitive decision has been made, but I think there's an opportunity, particularly in light of COVID, to continue to assess and make sure that our teams are outperforming expectations and that we have the strongest possible case for expansion as we're negotiating with prospective owners, markets, and arenas. We want to have leverage in those discussions. And so there is a lot of built up demand, which, might help tip the scales to expanding beyond Team 16. But we'll continue to evaluate that in real time. And, I think just take it step by step.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. I had one more for you, Jessica, and you see this, and of course, when you came on the scene in terms of being a woman in this spot, it's so important and so impactful, and we just had Elizabeth Benn with the Mets hired as the director of Major League Operations there. And for you, how do you measure progress in being one of these trailblazers and getting, your voices heard as women in these spots in sport?
Yeah, I think, appreciate the question. There's so many women now in senior roles around our industry that although I was the first in this particular role in a men's sport, I now feel confident in saying that there's a plethora of women, qualified women who are working at senior levels in the industry, which is fantastic. And I think there has been huge advances in us connecting with one another so that we know that each other exists. I'm on now several senior executive women leadership boards, and those groups meet monthly. I think as men had previously, perhaps on the golf course or in other places, to know that we're not the only ones. Like we each now know that we're out there and supporting each other, really actively dispelling the notion that, women aren't supporting women, and we are 100% supporting each other and really helping each other to build capacity and make sure that as we hear about opportunities, we're passing them along to each other so that we can bring new voices to the table. And when there are open positions, present a diverse slate of candidates so that people in hiring positions can really have the opportunity to meet different types of people who might be able to bring a different perspective. That's really what diversity is about. Not really about the sake of diversity, but really being intentional about surrounding yourself with different perspectives, which tends to mean people from different types of backgrounds, but not always, right? I've been in a group of men where each of them have a different perspective. They come from different backgrounds. They are from, rural or urban areas, or different types of upbringings, or different types of education. And so I think the new wave of the future is to really think about the intersectionality and how multidimensional diversity is, and really reframing how we think about it so that we're being intentional about surrounding ourselves with people who bring different perspectives so we can get to the best possible decision.
Well, Jessica, I know you guys have a lot going on at this point of the year, especially with Nick stepping down. So we appreciate you taking some time with us. Good luck as you guys close out this season, and good luck for you moving forward. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, Jessica. Appreciate the time.
Of course. Thank you.